Hear the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Luke. Now every year his parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up as usual for the festival. And when the festival was ended, they started to return. The boy, Jesus, stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents didn't know it. Assuming that he was in the group of travelers, they went a day's journey. Then they started to look for him amongst their relatives and friends. When they didn't find him, they returned to Jerusalem to search for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Look, your father and I have been searching for you with great anxiety." He said to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be about my father's house?" But they didn't understand what he said to them. And then he went down with them and came to Nazareth, was obedient to them. And his mother treasured all these things in her heart. Jesus increased in wisdom and in years and in divine and human favor. This is the gospel of the Lord. When I was at school, I had a Jewish friend who always invited me to the family celebrations of the great festivals of the Jewish faith. And I was absolutely amazed because they always told the story of the journey of their faith. And it would begin with Grandad talking about the patriarchs. And he'd pass it on to his son, who would then take us through the Exodus. And then they'd pass it on to the older members of the boys in the family, who would take us all through the prophets and things like that. Very impressive. It's something that they had done not only as a family, but right the way back into the earliest days of the development of the Jewish journey of faith. And it all led to making laws and traditions. And the great tradition, way back when, was that all the men should go up to Jerusalem at the great festivals, and especially to the Passover. By the time of Jesus, this had become much more a family event. And so people would gather together and set out on a journey, and on the journey they'd meet their friends and their family, other relatives, new friends, making their way, a great caravan on this journey from all over the Holy Land to Jerusalem, where it was a carnival atmosphere, where there were street traders and entertainers, all of course under the umbrella of this great event of faith. This particular year, Jesus goes with them. He's 12 years old. Now that's significant, because at the age of 13, it was considered that the boys became men. Up until the age of 13, they could have a child's relationship with the law. But from the age of 13 onwards, they were under the command of the law. They were expected to behave with all of the diktats of the law, to learn about the law and all sorts of things. In a way, they're still true. 13 is the age of the bar mitzvah. Our age also, obviously, confirmation, traditionally. I had a bishop who was very kind, who let us actually prepare the year 6 in the school for confirmation. It was a natural sort of thing to do. And although it was optional, most of the children decided to go forward for confirmation. We had one year where in the class they had a lad who was autistic, and he'd been with them all the way through from the beginning. He couldn't really hold a conversation, didn't read or write, but he had 2 absolutely amazing abilities. He could watch all those credits that speed past after a film, that you always, well, my wife always says to me, who was that? I can't read that fast. But he could actually remember all of it and tell you absolutely everything that was on it. Amazing ability. The other thing is he could play the organ. Nobody taught him, but he could play the organ. And the bishop very kindly said he could be confirmed too. Normally the bishop would come to us in the last term so that they could all be confirmed together. But in that year he couldn't manage it, and he had to come in the autumn, by which stage they'd all left the school and all gone to their different secondary schools. And on the day that we were having the confirmation, I got the parents and the lad together, and we went gently through it so that he would be happy about everything that was going on. And after we'd done the preparation, he went and sat down and played the organ. Now, above the sound of the organ, I could hear the other children arriving. They were so excited. They had been together for 6 years. Now they'd all dispersed, but here they were all coming back together again. And they were so excited. And when they came into church, it was a huge racket. Now, the lad didn't like noise, and so he hid deep against the organ. And all these children came into church, and then the most wonderful thing happened. One of the girls, because they'd been together for 6 years, they understood each other so well. One of the girls gave a subconscious signal to the others. I didn't see what it was. She didn't say anything. She didn't turn and look at them or anything like that. Just something about her body language. They all understood instantly. And they all quietened down. And so very gently, she went up to the organ and established the relationship with the lad again and brought him into the group. And that's how it was all through the confirmation. And he did play the organ at the confirmation. It was a very, very beautiful thing. Now, I like to think that something like that happened when Jesus went into the temple. He's still a boy. All of these learned people, the men of letters, the men of the law, the people, whose religion was, their heads were full of their religion. And yet this boy astounds them, wins them round. What on earth was it? How did he do it? I think I know. Theirs was the faith of the head. His was the faith of the heart. At the back of this church, there are the 10 Commandments. Now, the 10 Commandments are absolutely superb advice to anybody who wants to make a stable society. But they do hinge around, thou shalt not. And I rather suspect that if we were to suddenly find that Jesus had come into the back of the church and was standing there, he would say to us, all of these rules, these matters of the head, can be summed up in 2 thoughts of the heart. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, with all thy strength. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. It's on these principles that hang all the law and the prophets. And here, all we need to do to light up our lives in the same way that he lit up the lives of all those learned men in the temple when he was 12 years old, is to make room, not in our heads, but in our hearts. For when our hearts are beating in tune with his heart, then something beautiful happens. And all we have to do is to say, come on in. Let my heart beat with yours. And that, I think, like the incident in the confirmation, as something beautiful.